All right, good morning. Happy Friday. We've made it to the end of your first full week of online learning. Hopefully, it's been a good week for most of you. I have been excited because I've gotten to see some of you in my virtual meetings that we've had. So that was definitely a highlight of my week. So today, wanted to go over what you should have done for today in social studies. The first thing I want to remind you of is to make sure that yesterday's assignment about monsoons is completed and turned in at some point in time. A good amount of you did that yesterday, which is awesome. If you turned it in yesterday, it should be graded and back to you. Make sure you check any comments that I've left. Second, this isn't in the slide, but just make sure that you're going through, making sure that you don't have any missing assignments, that you're getting your work done. Today's assignment then is going to be a self-paced Pear Deck that will be due completed by the end of the weekend. Really, it'd be great if you could have it done by Monday's class. So it's a little more of a flexible due date for that. And I'm really just checking to make sure that you're participating. But before I show you that, I also wanted to go over starting next week. I will be doing office hours. I guess is what you could call them. Really what those are, it's a virtual meeting that you will have a chance to sign into. It'll probably be a Google Meet. The Zoom doesn't seem to be working out so well for me. But here are the times. So I'll let you just kind of look over those. There'll be a half-hour time slot every day of the week unless something comes up and I would let you know. And it's at all different times. Monday, for example, it'll be at 10:30 in the morning, while on Wednesdays, I will do a later session for those of you who are unable to make it in the early times at 7:30 p.m. These are optional, but if you have any questions or concerns that you want to bring up in a face-to-face setting, you could chime in for part of it or all of it. And again, that's starting next week. So let's go over a little of what you should have learned in class yesterday. Yesterday, you took a look at a video, you looked at a reading, you completed some documents. But essentially, when we're talking about life in India, even life in India today, it is really important to understand something called a monsoon. A monsoon is a seasonal wind. It's really a seasonal change in the direction of winds. And with those winds, they bring with them moisture, which brings lots of rainfall, or dry air. So if you look at this map of India, for example, in the summertime, the winds blow off of the sea and they blow onto land. They bring with it warm, moist air, lots of rainfall. And in the wintertime, the winds come from the opposite direction. They come from over land, hence bringing forth lots of dry air. It tends to be a little bit cooler. But those monsoons bring forth lots of really needed rain in the area. As you labeled the maps of India, you notice there's quite a few rivers, but without the rain coming in from these monsoons in the summer months, a lot of the groundwater and other water sources that Indians have come to depend on would not be in very good shape. One of the assignments that you had to do yesterday looked like this. And I noticed my directions weren't very clear. I said 2 in each box. There's a little more than 2. So the thing is, when Indians experience a just right monsoon season, that's your middle column right here, that means they're getting just the right amount of rain. Things are perfect. You're going to, first of all, see their aquifers are good. And if you look down here, an aquifer is an underground layer of rock that contains water. Think of it almost like a sponge. And then that water can be used when needed in the future, right? You can draw the water from the aquifer. So when you get just the right amount of rain, the aquifers are good and the crops grow really well and life is pretty good. When monsoon seasons are too strong, that happens. There's way too much rain. And a lot of times students will think, oh, that's not so bad. It's water. It's fresh water. We need that to survive. But too much rain, you can have too much of a good thing. So you're going to see crops being destroyed, flooding, which will lead to a host of other problems. And then even things like mudslides could happen. And then there are years when the monsoon season is too weak. So there's not enough rain. Again, when that happens, your crops could be destroyed. Those aquifers that are a dependable source of groundwater, they could dry out. And you could also experience drought, which is that extreme dryness. And we've talked about drought before in class. That'll lead to other not very good things happening. So a just right monsoon season is very important for life in India and for life in India today in 2020, but even life in India back in the ancient times, which we'll be talking about starting today. So I want you to keep that in mind. We are talking about India, and we're going to switch gears now and talk again about ancient India. In particular, the people that settled near this river right here, the Indus River. We call these people that settled here, we call this the Indus River Valley Civilization. So for today's main activity, you're going to be looking at a self-paced Pear Deck, and this is the slideshow that will go with the Pear Deck. And really what you're doing is you're trying to look at different artifacts to make some observations and inferences. So I will start this with you. It says, long ago in the Indus Valley lived a civilization that time had forgotten about. Two major cities were located here, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Nobody knows how to read the writing they left behind. Much of what we know about them is simply pieced together by scholars that study the artifacts they left behind. So from here, you're going to work your way through this Pear Deck. There's going to be some multiple choice questions, some dragging questions, and then a lot of it is your observation and then an inference. So for example, this first one right here, you're going to have to take a look at this picture and you're going to have to tell me what you think this artifact is. And then as you go through it, I will give you the answer. But instead of working, too far ahead, I encourage you to really think about what you think that artifact is. And then you'll find out the answer as you work your way through this. So really the whole point of this activity, I want you to see the work that historians have done to learn about these people, because we don't know what their writing system means. They have writing, but we just can't read it. So we've really had to use a lot of powerful skills of observation and inference to learn about the people living, or the people that lived in the Indus River Valley. So the self-paced Pear Deck, again, if you could have that completed by the end of the weekend, that would be awesome. And if you have any questions while you're working through it, please don't hesitate to contact me in an email. I try, like I said, to be as quick as I can getting back to you. In the meantime, have a wonderful Friday. I hope you all are doing well and have an even better weekend.